All right, so we're going to drop it in about 5, 4, 3, 2. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Demon Podcast. I am so excited. This has got to be one of the first episodes I'll be releasing of the year 2024, and I'm sitting here with my guy, Ryan. Thank you so much again for tuning into another episode. We're going to talk about something we've never covered before, and I think might be just the most interesting piece of cutting-edge technology that is hitting the market as far as supplementation goes. And I know we've covered this in the past when it comes to fitness and nutrition and health and overall how to take care of your body. But we've never really took a deep dive into some of the new products that are out there that you might not know about. So I'm super excited to be sitting here. Thank you so much for inviting me into your lovely home with a lovely view as well, Ryan. Thank you so much for your time, brother.
Yeah, thank you for coming by. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man.
Definitely.
Well, why don't we get started with the nitty and the gritty, the most important part that really sets the premise for every episode. What was it like for you growing up? Before we get into the most important crazy stuff I'm super excited about. But what was it like for you when your life began? Did you ever see yourself getting into this? Was this a passion of yours from the childhood? Tell me about it.
Yeah, I've been asked that question for quite some time, so it's kind of good to revisit on the roots. I grew up, hello everyone, my name is Ryan Conley, and I grew up in a small town, Port Angeles, Washington, born in New Orleans. And anyways, I grew up in a logging town. We're in Washington now, Seattle, and this is out in the Olympic Peninsula. And so, small town mentality. I always just, my father was in the military, colonel. You and I have military backgrounds as well. Our Army, 8 years at National Guard and stuff. And I just from an early age did a lot of traveling and stuff like this with my family, and I just kind of was able to look past a small town, and that kind of inspired me to just want more in life, just seeing the finer things in life and stuff. So, and obviously health, which we're here to talk about today, is the finest thing in life, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Someone once said, I think it was Pusha T in a song, said, "Wealth can't buy health," but I think we can get ahead of our health by making well-informed and important decisions.
Most definitely. Yeah, this was that for sure. That's very important. Yeah,
awesome, man.
Good decisions.
Definitely. So what is one thing you would recommend to anybody, even before they start dipping into Mito? What was one thing you would say, the baseline most important function that we can do to set ourselves up for success before adding something like this to our table so we get the most out of it?
Well, that's a great question there, Eddie. You got good questions. First of all, I'm going to say stress. Having stress lowered is a very, very important thing, because that's kind of something. It's something that we can strive for, but obviously everything in life, there's a lot of stress. Whether you're in rush hour traffic, for example, if you're in a relationship, if you're raising children, and just all these things. It's like the world throws curveballs at you all the time, and you're like, ooh, just to navigate and all that and stuff. And so, obviously, avoiding stress as much as possible is hard or easy as that sounds right there.
Definitely. I have a very good background in stress, believe it or not. And my life's been filled with it. So I think that
you're Brazilian jiu-jitsu, so you get choked out all the time. That's kind of stressful a little bit right there, right?
It could definitely be intimidating sometimes. But having a background in stress, I definitely realized that cortisol and the influence it has on your brain, the damage to your short-term memory, that cortisol and stress and the fog of war can ensue, especially when it comes to PTSD and all these other things. Stress is an absolute killer. It kills your cardiovascular system. It weighs on the heart, and it's very, very dangerous to have a high stress environment. So mitigating stress is everything.
There we go. Mitigating stress. Just really, moving stress, lowering the bar on that, makes us look younger. I'm 47 years young here. So, and people tell me even today, they tell me I look 10 years younger than I did 10 years ago. How's that work?
Well,
no stress.
No stress.
Helping reduce stress. Yeah.
100%. Well, what are some of the ways that you strive to reduce stress in your life?
Well, stress can be also like environmental. It can be also dietary. For example, eating a whole bunch of sugar, for example. This is something in 2024, I'm cutting sugars out. Like I'm, eating lots of, it's been kind of the holidays, right? So, changing the diet, less sugar. And then also, even when we eat a whole bunch of food, I've been studying what has a role on the mitochondria, what lowers the mitochondria. It's like when we overeat so much, that's a stress on our body right there. So, eating smaller amounts is good for, for stress. And then just, I live here, so it's nice and not so stressful as being down, lots of loud noises or whatever. But just really just kind of being in tune with how you feel. I think the more less stressed out you are, the more you actually become more in tune with how life is supposed to be, you know?
Definitely. I can agree with that. I've taken some steps recently as far as, in looking at different jobs, looking at, how do I spend my 9 to 5? In what environment is that? How do I improve it? Small steps. And I think we can all work to do that. I've definitely eating for my health, and also eating for a purpose was serious to me back when I was doing bodybuilding before I took my injury and lost, almost all the progress that I made.
Right.
But the cool thing about it is the body reacts so it's just like a big dry sponge. And as soon as you add the good food, as soon as you add the water intake, as soon as you add the reduction in stress, your body fills up with better nutrients, and you become more healthy.
So this is hydrogen water we're having right now. It's all I drink is hydrogen water, and It's got colostrum in it and all kinds of neuropeptides and all kinds of stuff we're drinking right now.
It tastes phenomenal, so I got to be honest.
Good stuff, right? So a lot of seaweeds and stuff in here, actually, So yeah, I'm very particular about what I put into my body.
Absolutely. Well, we talked about
except on a Friday night.
Except on a Friday night. You know what? I have a rule as of late. So 1 glass a night, and I don't ever overindulge is my goal. So I'll have 1 glass a night after I return home from jiu-jitsu. We get a little bit of bourbon going. But other than that, I'm really careful about what I put in my body because it does have a negative side effect. And I don't want to look any more stressed out in age than I already have, from the military to working in the dangerous areas that might be surrounding Seattle and stuff like that. I want to make sure that I have my stress nice and low. Yeah. So tell me more about this drink, because it's really good. I really like it. I don't know if there's any sports drink or anything on the market right now that tastes like this. So what is it?
Well, obviously this is different than we're getting into the mitochondria, but I look at this, I call this the fuel for the fire. Okay. So this is like, I drink pre-baby breast milk. Colostrum is called. A lot of people don't know what colostrum is, but this is the birth milk that comes, with a cow or a human, mammals actually, in the first 6 hours that the baby's born. And so it has 700 nutrients in it and growth factors. You'd actually test positive for steroids if you eat as much as this perfect protein. That's what I call it. So I basically is just is dynamo, this stuff right here. So I use this I call this a fuel for the fire. What I'm talking about the fire is like the mitochondria conversion process, because we have 60 quadrillion plus mitochondria in our human skin suit, and it's just a skin suit drooped over this, all these battery, the powerhouse of the cell, the mitochondria.
Wow. So mitochondria, we only hear about this in maybe in an Eminem song, I would say. He brought it up in an Eminem song talking about venom. And that's pretty much the only time in the past, I would say 7 years, I've heard mitochondria other than from you. So for the people that don't know, can you break down what mitochondria is and how it plays a part in our health and how we can influence that in a better way?
Well, it's very interesting because mitochondria we're taught, you probably heard back in grade school, or you remember having the cell and you cover the organelles, as they call them in here. Like the organelles are like the smaller parts, like the organ of the body, but the organs of the cells. So you have the micro, getting down to that. So just a few facts about mitochondria is there's mitochondria in every cell except red blood cells. There's, so your fat cells, your neurons of your brain, have mitochondria. So I'm supercharged. You've had a dose or two already since you've been here. So have our game on point right here. And then also, our stem cells, our fat cells, all this have mitochondria except the red blood cells are the only cells of the body that don't have it. So I like to do my numbers conservatively. We're talking about 2,000 little cells mitochondria in every little cell. So when we did the coloring book back in middle school, we showed 1 mitochondria in the cell. You got your nucleus and your ribosomes and whatever you got going on in there, right? So with this, just imagine 2,000 mitochondria per cell. This is conservative. There could be 3,500 mitochondria in a cell. So these mitochondria, it's just they're most dense in our eyes, our brain, and our hearts. And so what do most people have health difficulties with as they get older? Right? Yep, exactly, right? They start wearing glasses, and we start off, white, or whatever. I'm just joking that you get Chinese and then it lights out. Your eyes, as you get older, you can see the light within. This is the mitochondria, the energy within. It starts dimming and then it just lights out. So what we have here, as we'll get into this this product, is the only product in the world that will actually activate your mitochondria within 5 minutes of taking it back to youthful levels right here. So you just put it underneath your tongue like we've been doing. But, it's just, this is kind of like everything that happens in life, from the stress, from the stuff they spray in the air, for example, to the stuff they put in the water, for example, the stuff they put in the food, for example, all this stuff. I'm not going to say who does that to us, but it's all, they understand that this lowers the powerhouses of the cell. All these things that you put into your, we won't give that a name on this, or the viruses and stuff, it all lowers the mitochondria. Even our cell phones and our Wi-Fi lower mitochondria. So this is why, we don't sound as brilliant as people were back down in, the times, like in biblical times, how they used to speak, or I think in, the romantic eras, where they used to speak all really brilliantly, so
absolutely.
It's, people are, this definitely increases your intelligence though.
So I would say that the age of technology has certainly dimmed a lot of what you're just talking about. It does take away, I would say, almost our human advancement, as we're naturally, as we socially interact and come together, we bounce off each other. We have these vibrant ideas. The brain starts turning, and we come up with something crazy like the light bulb, or how to take electricity and turn it into send energy signals, how to use laser technology. We have all these things going for us. And like you said, smartphones. The smarter our phones get, I would say, this old guy told me last week, the stupider we get every time we use this 20 smartphones.
I think it's a double-edged sword. I mean, artificial intelligence is changing the way we think about things, and more asking the right questions, which I think is important. I mean, we'll get to my health complications that I went through on this 26-year journey. And one of the things I remember when I'm going through this is that I had problems. Like, I felt it was almost like a depression inside me that was preventing me from asking certain questions, because then I had a hard time when they be given an answer to assimilate those answers into my life, like having a memory to, as we get into my memory issues and stuff I had. So, again, a double-edged sword. We could talk about the positive and negative. It's very interesting to see how there's always an opposite and equal reaction, right? So
absolutely. Well, let's investigate that a little bit. You talked about health struggles. We all go through different things. We have, family members who've had cancer. We've had people who have degenerative memory loss issues. Right. We've had people just had their parts of their bones degenerate, the joints falling apart with arthritis and things like that.
Right.
Tell me what your struggle was, and what impact has this had on you since you've been introduced to it?
Yeah. So, golly, it's quite a heck of a story. So back in college, this is when this all started back in 1997. And I was actually, this is very interesting. And I think it's important for people to understand what happened back then. This is back when the rave scene was really big. Yeah. Okay. And someone gave me, I never did drugs. I was, my weed at the time and stuff like this. I think I was smoking weed to mask my anxiety and depression that I had just for being in school. You know what I'm saying? So school will lower your mitochondria also. So anyways, and so someone had gave me a pill, which they said it was ecstasy. And I actually had a near-death, I actually had a near-death experience. I remember I didn't feel the pill at all. I went to sleep that night, and I actually ejected out of my body. This is not like a hallucination. This actually happened. It was a very physical sensation. I actually ejected out, because I didn't even know anything about near-death experiences at this point. I know people could have near-death and come back, and I was on the ceiling looking down at my body, having a seizure. And I cannot stress the strength of what that ejection was like. And the white light was coming, and I thought to myself, it was there to my left, and I was looking down my body at this, and I said to myself, okay, because I wasn't right with God at that time. What's I was dealing weed and stuff, I was I just a troubled college kid, trying to make it through, Army National Guard on the weekends and stuff, and stuff. And so anyways, I remember the two things that crossed my mind was, number one, I love life too much. And also number two, this is funny, is that my parents had paid for my college education. I couldn't go out on their dime, no joke. And so I came back into my body. And from that point forward, the thing that happened is, I had a dissociation identity disorder from that point forward. Like, I woke up the next day, I didn't even remember how to write my name on my test. And I looked in the mirror, and I didn't even recognize myself in the mirror. Like this, there's DID, dissociation identity disorder, is very real, but it's also a symptom of, my brain started going downhill. And so this actually went into what I was diagnosed with, eventually, was frontal temporal lobe dementia. Okay.
And I think I've heard that recently. It's all the news, I believe.
Bruce Willis has it. That's why.
That's who has it.
Yeah, so he has it, but before that, I mean, it's interesting because it's an early onset dementia, and see, dementias can be caused from all kinds of stresses, and so how I got diagnosed was definitely not an overnight process. Very difficult to get diagnosed. There's genetic factors that I didn't test positive for the genetic factors, but I have all my brain scans. With the Amen Clinic, I'm the most studied brain at the Amen Clinic, and so I'll just kind of hold this up for the record because this you can see here all the my brain scans here. This is working with the Amen Clinic, the most studied brain there for frontal temporal lobe dementia. And there's holes all up in my grill, like holes all the way up there. I can see these two, whoever wants to see them, but you can see the big holes in the frontal cortex, for example, right here.
I've seen something.
Okay, you can see the big old holes in the frontal temporal cortex, and also in the back of the brain. You can see how bad my brain was also. So as I started using frequency medicine, like this went on for 26 years until about 9 months ago. And again, I'm not going to say we cured or healed, whatever. Okay, my disclaimer is I went from being a dum-dum to Einstein. Like I feel like I could out-negotiate Trump right now. Okay, is what I like to say. But when I use certain things, you can actually see my temporal lobes there on the sides, guys, down this bottom next to my thumb picture. There's all these tunnels in my temporal lobes are completely just annihilated, just gone when I was able to start kind of having some success using frequency stuff. There's a frequency mat under here, for example, and stuff, PMF, and there's different red light therapy and all this stuff like this. But it wasn't until 10 weeks ago or so that I was actually able for my brain to come back online, we shall say. Okay. And go ahead. Next question.
You had like a major crazy near-death experience that devastated you, and you used.
I need to focus on that more. Discussing this, yeah.
I mean, that's terrible. Like that's not. You talked about stress earlier. That blows me away.
Well, I had to tell my parents because I wasn't the same person. I had to actually, instead of continuing going to college, I actually had to come home. How do you tell your parents this? And then you're in a mental state where you're not able to express yourself and put words together properly. Like it's extremely embarrassing, even though I felt like my ego was completely annihilated. My whole sense of self was just like, I thought it was like, was my soul gone? Or was my spirit gone? This is what it felt like to me. I couldn't figure out what was like. I would try to study soul and spirit, and then I would get confused because I didn't have the mental capacity to put it here. I was confused of what the heck was going on. It was like a spiritual abduction is what this was like on top of all this. It was crazy. But through that process, just to go through some of the things I went through, I was on 20 something different antidepressants. I had taken even antipsychotics. I had like schizophrenia symptoms also during this time. I would it was like a schizoid personality is what it felt like to me. It was also, I took anti-anxiety medications. I took Ritalin, Adderall, Depakote, all these different kinds of big pharma things, right?
Like they throw at you.
And then on top of this, with my mental capacity, I'm trying to analyze the serotonin, dopamine systems, and the glutamate and receptors, and all this stuff, trying to figure it together. Then I'm shooting stem cells, I'm shooting human growth hormone. I had come across some money involved in cryptocurrency, so I was able to do a lot of treatments that a lot of people weren't. So I had a hyperbaric chamber that I was sleeping at my house. I had working with shamans across the world. Just long story short, drinking ayahuasca, smoking toads in the Mexican jungles and the beaches of Mexico, to putting toads and burns on my chest and all kinds of stuff, to DMT, and mushrooms. Just all these plant-based medicines. Like I tried everything, east meets west, north meets south. I tried it all.
Well, going through anything frontal lobe related, it's not like a flat hill at all.
No.
That's like the most steep upward.
Yeah, man, it's like inverted.
To go through something like that, it has to mold you and have some serious, significant effect to drive you in a direction where you either say, "Hey, I'm gonna take what's going on with me and I'm gonna turn it into fuel for my fire," or I'm gonna cower away and let this control me, destroy.
Well, and on that note, the great point. The thing about it is, and imagine not having the mental capability on top of that. Like, imagine you have to climb this cliff, but you don't have the mental capability to do this, but you have to do it just like extra slow instead of just scaling the wall and be able to predict, your path, because with dementia, your vision, for example, becomes narrower. Okay, so for example, if I was here's an example: if I was looking you this close in speaking to you, I could not look in your eyes. I could only look in your eye at once. So I look in your left eye, I look in your right eye, I look like this, and it would drive me crazy because my vision was that narrow. I could not look at a person in their eyes. I could only look at a person in their eye. If I was on a Zoom call, for example, I couldn't put the whole information of everyone in the Zoom call and put it together and really have a sense of what was going on. So when I was able to actually come back from all this, this is when I say that my omnidome vision came back. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, so at what point was there some type of, oh my goodness, this is the moment where I'm going to have hope? Was there some type of sign that this was going to be a path where you haven't explored everything, you've tried everything under the moon? What did be different about this one for you?
Well, I think it's important to touch on the spirituality side because spirituality really gave me hope and stuff like this. Like I had already written my suicide letters for my kids. I didn't want anyone to feel I was going to take my life about 100 days ago. Now it's been, and I decided the way I wanted to go was that I wanted to take sleeping pills because I actually got addicted to watching near-death experience videos on YouTube. I was watching 10 to 20 a day, these were an hour long. I was obsessed with near-death experiences and trying to find out why I wanted to take my life. And so what I came across is that people that were overdosing on sleeping pills, people were actually meeting Jesus Christ, and he was healing them and saying, it's not your time. And send their asses back to earth, in their lives, and they were healed. They came back. And so what happened was I came across this gentleman named Carl Falcon, and he's a good friend of mine now. Actually, today I talk to him almost every day. Just an amazing gentleman, but he had a near-death experience. And so I already had a near-death experience before. Meanwhile, I was sitting here, I had a noose, and I was choking myself at night, trying to get myself closer and convince myself, in my off time, choking myself to try and get closer to death because I had this sleeping pill set up to go ahead and get these sleeping pills because my regular doctor wouldn't give them to me. Okay, this is 3 days before I was set, before a massive intervention happened. So this spiritual side, this gets really crazy, Carl Falcon prayed for me. He actually had a near-death experience where he actually mended with Jesus Christ, not to go on a major religious, but he actually mended with Jesus Christ, one of the only two people. And Jesus Christ taught him two things, that this life was about, and I'm a messenger for this. It comes down to selfless love in this lifetime. So think about what that is. To me, that's a difficult thing. I consider myself a utopian capitalist, as futurist utopian capitalist. So I always have through this entire path. But what that involves is making the world a better place so we can actually live more selfless love lives right now is where this path has taken me. And also, so that was that, and he was also given healing abilities. So he was healing people in prayer. And so he prayed for me and stuff like this. And I was just like, man. And so it's interesting because you never know how God can give us tools in life, and it's for us to use the tools, to pick up the tools and actually use them sometimes. And so what happened was he sent me this prayer napkin, this prayer cloth that I had in my pocket, and I would keep it on me that week. And all of a sudden I went to church that week. I was going to church after my last breakup 3 times a week. I go back and forth to church 3 times a week. And on Sunday service, my church pastor comes up to me and he goes, Ryan, and I see him coming across the whole entire room, looking at me the whole entire. I thought I was I was like, what is going on? Because I was just like, dude, what's up? I love this guy. He's coming at me what's going on here? And so he comes up to me. He goes, Ryan, God told me to tell you there's nothing you can't fix, and also that humongous things are coming for you. And I said, well, I've been praying about this forever. So I just kind of said, I see myself, yeah, and I, when's this going to happen? And stuff. And he goes, we're going to pray for you after church today. So I said, okay. So and I was the person at church probably had more prayers than anyone done. I'd actually church hop because I would start standing out in the radar as being someone that needed too many prayers. You know what I'm saying? Because no, true story. I was what do you call this? I was I don't know, not the poster child though. I was the project, kind of type thing. And so, and they all knew that I was going to take, that I wanted to take my life, and I'm very upfront with them. And so he goes, so they prayed for me, laid hands on me after church. I'm making this story as fast as I can right now, you guys. And then they poured holy oil, frankincense, all across my head. And I had been prayed on before like this, but this is where it actually happened. After that, they prayed on me, laid hands on me, tongues and all this good stuff. And he said to me afterwards, he goes, the spirit of fear has left you. And I thought to myself, the spirit of fear, like I'm a tough guy, ego stepped in for a second. But at the same time, I had been writing these letters, for my kids and stuff like this. Like I was about to go bye-bye that week, right? And so I was like, okay, so this is where it all changed. Everything I had prayed for 20 something years came true in 1 week. Okay. So number one, Monday, my friend called me, goes, congratulations, you just made a bunch of money, off of this cryptocurrency. So like, okay, cool. Went and bought a new car, right? That day. Yeah. Even though I was still set to take my life, but I had hope. I had hope at this time. Right. And then Tuesday, my friend Reggie Williams calls me up. He goes, Ryan, he goes, God told me to forgive you. And I was like, we had a fallout like a few years ago, and he goes, and Ryan, he goes, God told me to tell you what I have is going to have a massive impact. I'm going to just be conservative in what I say here. And he goes, and this is going to have like profound effects on your life and stuff. I said, well, what is it, Reggie? I go, I've tried everything because I was like frustrated. I was going to off myself that 3 days after he called me on Tuesday, and he goes to me, he goes, we found a way to take this stuff right here, this something called MoreMito, and you put this underneath your tongue. You just take a little 1 milliliter of this stuff right here, like this, and you put it underneath your tongue, and you hold it for 5 to 10 minutes, and it turns your mitochondria back to where it was when your youthful levels, like 5 to 10 years old. And I say, okay, this is the only thing I've not tried. I even forgot to say that I went to Dominican Republic and shot $50,000 worth of stem cells into my brain. 200 million stem cells into my brain, where they put a wire up through my arm, into my brain. I have this all documented. You can watch the video of the stem cells being shot into my brain on x-ray. And I was there feeling the stem cells being injected onto my brain. I didn't know you could actually feel, you have like feelings inside your, it makes sense, right? You feel stuff in your brain sometimes, right?
Headaches.
Yeah, those things suck, right? So mitochondria situation. So anyways, I did it all, right? I've done it all, the shamans, the stem cells, all these drugs, all this stuff, toads and everything. So anyway, so I was like, okay, so this is the only thing. I'm not going to leave one stone unturned because I don't want, okay. So I ordered this stuff. It came, it's like $100 a month. Okay. $3.30 a day. This stuff comes on Saturday. And I'm laying on this couch right here. I'm laying like right where you're at, right? Is where this went down. This is where life went up. Okay. And I take this stuff and I go ahead and I put the stuff underneath my tongue right there. And I'm on the phone with Reggie. I put it underneath my tongue. I'm holding it underneath my tongue. I'm talking to Reggie. And this is what the moment was that you asked. Okay. All of a sudden I felt this fluttering sensation on my right temporal lobe. And it felt like I described it as a hummingbird wing was like flickering on my right temporal lobe. I was like, dude, what in the world? Like I've done a lot of drugs. A lot of nothing too hardcore.
You're just trying to fix life, right?
Trying to fix life. Maybe it did blow once or twice in my downtime, a long time ago. Everybody but whatever. Life is life and stuff. And so I was like, I never felt this before. And all of a sudden, and Reggie's looking at me and he's smiling. I have him on video phone. My buddy that's the messenger of this stuff to me, and he goes. And he saw, and so I was like, Reggie, I'm going to go ahead and just chill on this and kind of feel into this and see what it is. So I said goodbye, Reggie. And I'm laying here. And all of a sudden, I had this sense of inner peace come over me for the first time in 26 years. It was like a perfume that I had smelled like 20-something years ago. Like, when you smell something or
the most
something.
Significant nostalgia out there.
Yeah, just like that. Exactly. And I was like, dude, what in the world? And all of a sudden, self-love came back to me for the first time in 26 years. I would go through relationships. I have children. I have 2 daughters. Everything it was like when they talk about like building a castle on concrete they talk about building on a firm foundation, and you've heard this, whether it's spiritual or religious, or to build something on life in a firm foundation. Well, everything that I would build, make good, lots of money, have good, strong, beautiful women, beautiful children, it was just crumble down. And I was like, dude, what is going on here? This is crazy. But the reason why is because I did not have inner peace inside me, so I couldn't have self-love into me. So it was all kind of fake it till you make it kind of type thing. The show would be over and over,
Absolutely, man.
Go ahead.
So I'm just going to drop in the next one right now real quick. Mm-hmm. And drink more of this.
Yeah. Cheers. Very good. It's good stuff, huh?
This is phenomenal.
Feel good?
I feel great.
Right.
I think I would say a significant boost in mental clarity. I'm able to articulate what I feel.
His first time taking this stuff, everyone. He's streaming here. I'm streaming here. We be streaming. So,
we're gonna drop in about 5, 4, 3, 2. So, you have this epiphany, this crazy breakthrough after trying so many different things.
One dose.
After one dose, I've had significant experiences when, with managing my hormones, right, going through different horrible traumatic experiences, stuff like that. It can actually change your testosterone, estrogen levels. You can have super high estrogen, and your testosterone level goes crazy because cortisol attacking your body. And I recently went to a naturopath and started dealing with testosterone and stuff like that. And so, and monitoring my levels, making sure I'm actually physically healthy with hormones. So I've noticed and I've spent a lot of years researching this stuff. So I'm seeing a very, very significant similarity between what you've experienced combating a traumatic brain experience and significant near-death damage to dealing with it with a more holistic approach, I would say, than the normal throw pills at it until he offs himself, or we figure out which one's going to mitigate the symptoms instead of attacking the problem.
Right.
So this is something that you actually have used to attack the problem, because I notice you're extremely well spoken. You have energy out the window. You know, you look extremely young. You feel full of life, and you seem so passionate about something that really affects you in a positive way.
Right. Yeah.
Tell me more about this.
Well, this is nanotechnology, and I never really heard the word nanotechnology. I knew what nano was before.
I thought it was that little stuff in the spy movies they throw on something that just destroys circuit boards, you know?
Right. But there's good and there's bad nanotech. You know, I'm so sensitive to my words. Like, I don't even say there's good and there's not as good nanotechnology, which you'll say. So, that's one thing about when you raise your vibration, it comes down to the mitochondria. So let me give you a good analogy of mitochondria. You know, we have recessed can lighting in this room. Okay. So let's imagine there's like more than 2 in this room because my sunroom. So let's say like the kitchen, for example, has got like 10 cans there. If one of those lights goes out, for example, imagine those being the mitochondria. One of those lights goes out, the room is still lit up, right? But inside the can itself, it's dark. Yes. Okay. So think about this. What's interesting about that is you can't have light in the darkness, like mix. Let me like break that with it a little more specific here. And you can't have darkness in the light. You can't have light in the darkness. You can't be happy and sad also at the same time. You see what I'm saying? There's a contrast. So when you see light in the darkness, you know, how you would break that down to photons or whatever it is, right? There's that, right?
It's a statement of absolution.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't be happy and sad at the same time, or like, what's that look like? You know what I'm saying? So good luck with that. So the thing about it is in that darkness, that can light, that mitochondria low, dim because of stress or whatever, this is where human dis-ease sets in. So that may manifest itself as potentially the CANC word, for example. I never give words. I don't mention. Okay, this could be where MS goes ahead. This is where Parkinson can. I mean, you can go and Google. I encourage you all who are watching this, go to Google or listening to this and type in mitochondria, whatever dis-ease that you have, and you're going to see that there's a correlation between. I don't care if it's PTSD, depression, anxiety. University of California, San Diego actually even just came out with a study last week, actually maybe 8 days ago, regarding how the suicidal thoughts were because of low mitochondria. What's really interesting, and this is my point working with the University of Washington mitochondria labs here, which I was on the call with today, is that all these what they call antidepressants. I'll take a side note here. Let me come back to this point in a second, okay? But also in this dark light, this is where stinking thinking sets in, negative self-talk sets in. This is where you have the PTSDs, the depression, the anxiety, which I'll come back to in a second.
Which you just cannot seem to shake off. Ever.
Yeah, you can't, because the lights are dim, the batteries, so the negative, it is there inside. It gets it's like flies attract to brown stuff. Okay. So anyways, and also this is where pain sets in. Pain, Google pain and mitochondria. Pain is a mitochondria situation. Okay. I remember in Jamaica, it's how sensitive I am. they say no problem on only situations. So I always talk about situations there's no problem on. Okay. So, but also back to the University of California study that just came out. It's very interesting because for 70 years, antidepressants came out in 1950. Okay. And so 73 years, these antidepressants have been out. But why do they call them antidepressants is the question to me, when what they actually do, you can Google this, is they lower the mitochondria. All statin drugs basically lower the mitochondria down. This is proven, okay? So what they're doing is they're actually depressing the system, okay? And so what's a common side effect of antidepressants?
Suicidal thoughts.
Suicidal thoughts.
Lack of sleep.
And what they just was focused on the thoughts, okay? Because you get bomb sleep on this stuff. But anyways, the thoughts, this negative stinking thinking, that stuff right there is proven by the University of California, San Diego to go ahead and be because of low mitochondria. So what I see here is basically the first thing that actually is more, we'll say not so depressing, we'll call it a not so depressing thing, because we're raising the mitochondria energy levels up to where you were as a kid once again, you see. So then the stinking thinking, this is so, it's like the dimmer switch in the lights and for the room, you turn that sucker on full blast, all the lights come back on, and the energy grid throughout the body, the brain, this human skin suit is activated.
Wow.
Boom. There it is, guys.
I love it. So we're talking about something that works on a molecular level.
We're talking about pets, it's just every mitochondria, living thing is, yeah, exactly.
And so every single one of us have these things inside of us. And when they pretty much, they get shut there, our receptors shut them off, or for whatever reason, because of stress, because of traumatic experiences, because near-death experience, serious health degenerations, all these things.
Right.
No matter what it is, it affects us at a
mitochondrial level.
Yes, I don't want to
make something up. Mitochondriaism.
Yes, pretty much, man.
So, but it's interesting because so what they're saying also, like Dave Asprey from Bulletproof Coffee, they're talking about when you raise the mitochondria, you're raising human consciousness. Like how, they say your brain is only connected so much. Well, obviously, if your batteries are kind of dull in your brain, they're not going to work so good so much, right? And so you go ahead and turn it up and like this. We're talking about pure ATP energy here. I mean, look at this. Our hands are completely stable. It's like at peace. Yeah. But we're like ninja, jujitsu right now. Like mentality. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so he's better at that than I am. But I'm already bust out on this to see what's up.
I'm just still in my learning levels. I'm just a humble student. Trying to make it through another day. Hopefully don't have to use it on somebody.
But your streak on this stuff is ridiculous. I mean, I do 10 minutes of exercise a day, and the strength is just because you're more in the moment. So when you're more, when you're in the gym, for example, let me give you another example of like the
mind-muscle connection.
Exactly. So if you're not there, let's say you're just doing it, you're doing it. There's a difference between just doing it and there's a benefit, like exactly, okay? Or else you're like doing it, but or also you're like really, really present. It puts your body in this frequency. It's not even about necessarily how fast you go. You could be going really fast. If you're there for all that, you're there for it, and you're the connection's there.
So you're talking about entering the flow state, correct?
This is the flow state 24/7. This is the flow state. I'm in the flow state all day long.
So your productivity is going to increase. Everything's going to be better.
There you go. That's why I want to get in fighters' hands, like boxing, and stuff like this, because it don't matter if you're, in the bedroom, if you're in the gym, if you're in the boardroom meeting, if you're on the car driving, if you're on the mat, fighting. It don't matter. This is superhumanism, is what this is.
Wow. Well, that's extremely exciting, and this is, like you said, on the cutting edge of technology. I know you mentioned.
Yeah, shout out to Brian Caraway, third top fighter in the UFC at one point. He's with us also right now. So shout out to Brian Caraway, Wu-Tang also. How did they do the Wu-Tang? Wu-Tang's with me also right now. Okay, I got my friends over at Pink Floyd also with us now too. So that was all like in one day they joined me. Like it's amazing. This is an amazing technology everyone should be on.
So do you think it's gonna sweep? You really do anticipate?
Yeah, that's how I've been very successful in life, is being at the forefront of technology. And this is where you go from superhuman to being a superhero. Okay, this is when it's like, because my goal is where you go from, because superhuman is just how it's just being. And now, but I believe that we have the ability right now to have such an impact. Like, I want to see elderly care people come out of homes where their minds weren't right. And I'm not saying that this is going to do that. I'm just saying I want to have a profound impact on delivering technology that makes people. I know people that were, those negative stinking things what they always want to be done, and now they're so happy and they're looking forward to every single day. For example, I have over 260 something people on this product right now, and everyone has phenomenal results because we have 60 quadrillion mitochondria plus in us. 60 quadrillion. Think of that. Like, how many stars in a galaxy? And I mean,
more than I can count.
Like, right? Like, yeah,
Wow. Well, that's really exciting because
right?
I think that being alive but not living is one of the most dangerous things.
Oh my gosh, it's like hell on earth. I was hell on earth for me. It's like every day was Groundhog Day. It was black and white. Get up, same shizzle, every single day.
Yeah, nothing positive. When your dreams die, that's when it's over.
Yeah, they say if you can't dream it, good luck manifesting it, right? So
100%.
I mean, I can. My dreams are just crazy. They're freaking amazing on this because this will actually make your sleep better. It don't mind if it doesn't matter. I don't get up in the morning until I've taken this underneath my tongue, holding my sweetheart, and I take it. And then it's like my pre-coffee. I get up, and when I go to sleep, I take it, and it drops you like you'll have too low really deep REM sleep. You'll like way deep, and you'll wake up maybe at 2:30 in the morning. I do my international business for half an hour in bed. I take an hour dose, jump again, and I'm up at 4:30 in the morning every single morning, 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning. This adds 2 to 3 hours of extra mental clarity. And I ain't talking faster because I don't want to bore anyone. Try not to, anyways.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna bore anyone, man, at all. So having a mental state of ease does help with sleep. That's been proven a million times over. Having clear and just having a plan of direct action and using speed, surprise, violence, action has been beneficial to the military. You're talking about it being beneficial to fighters. What other demographics do you think is going to really impact the more this spreads?
Man, that is a really great point because I look at it this way. My top 3 focuses in life right now is God, mitochondria and consciousness, and how this all ties together for us to be like just the most amazing like here on this planet, like beings. And so how is this going to, I mean, this is, the creativity that comes with this, having relationships, like how you get along with people as we move into, there's BC before Christ, there's after death AD, right. And then there was what we call is, I had to talk about this the other day, before being humane, BH, before humane. And that was, as we're trying to figure out this world and put it all craziness stuff together, we only need a few, good food and all this good stuff and hydrogen, the necessities, right? It before humane, how getting to a point where the world is easier, we with blockchain technology and people have more abundance and stuff like this. And as we move into, Web3 and that's where I'm bringing this next is into Web3, which is a whole nother side conversation because Web3 is going to change everything and help these concepts like this. To me, this is not anti-aging. This is reverse aging is what this technology is.
Wow. Well, that's phenomenal. Well, I just have one more question for you.
Dang it.
And I think it's got to be one of my most important.
Nice.
Where do you envision yourself in 5 to 10 years using this product?
Well, I got this sign. A family member gave me one time, says, "Be the change that you want to see in the world." And I think that we are held back in life sometimes, like bow and arrow. You get pulled back, and then you can't like this. And I really want to change a lot of lives. I want to change. I don't believe it. I mean, how do we have these medications from 73 years ago seemed that was the go-to when now the studies are coming out proven? You can Google it, suicide in California, University of California, go ahead and Google it. And so many people are on antidepressants. And it's like, well, how's that working right there? You know what I'm saying? So we need to, I want to save lives. I want to throw a shout out to my friend, Jim Marks. Him and I were praying about 100 days ago together, and Jim and I were both suicidal at the time. There's a difference between Jim and I right now. Jim's not here anymore. And I missed gym by 2 weeks when I called him to tell him about this product, and I couldn't reach him and stuff like this. So that was the closest case. So like, man, the good karma that comes to go ahead and saving lives, like we have a moral obligation. And hey, you sign up for free in this company. I don't need to get all business oriented on this call. You can make money saving lives, improving people's lives, and get your product for free. And you never have to buy the product to make any money at all. And it pays every minute of the day. So straight Zelly or ACH to your bank account, you know, in every country, you know. So now where I want to go to answer your question is, you know, this week I'm in talks with the University of Washington. I just found out that we actually have more mitochondria studies here in Washington State than even California. The West Coast is lit up mitochondria, doing research on mitochondria. Pretty dope. And I'm a UW alumni from 2001. Somehow I made it through college. Crazy with this, right? Like, I think they just gave it to me because they felt bad for me. It's like, get out of here. You're hopeless. You know, my brain was just, I couldn't do it. Like, oh my goodness. And so anyways, it just, I really want to help change. I had a thought to myself on that note, brother, that I really want, even though I'm not a doctor, you know, this happened to me. And I know that it doesn't matter if it's dementias, if it's, you know, these mental things. I want to save lives, and I want to help move the focus towards what I think is the most important aspect of life, which is the mitochondria science. Is where I'm dedicated at. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do.
I love it. I absolutely love it, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to shed light on this. It's really important that we do spotlight and platform important ideas and important things that are storming the age of technology. We are in the age of technology.
Exactly.
It's only gonna be more and more crazy. Steve Jobs talked about it quite a bit. Everything's gonna be everything's gonna increase tenfold every single day. The things are moving at 10 miles a minute.
You know, on that note, go ahead and Google pancreas, because they had pancreatic cancer, right?
Yes.
Oops, I said that word. CNC, rebuke that. Okay, so the thing about it is also, so you can Google that, CNC word, and you can also Google, which is interesting, because this all comes down to a mitochondria situation. So you can also check out, let me see, the pancreas in that as well. So there is a tie to all that right there. So you increase this. That's why we have people that are in situations like that are having really good results, you know? So I know if I was in that situation, I know what I'd be doing, you know?
Definitely. Well, we do have to investigate this, but I just want to really honestly thank you for being on the front line of this and taking this fight to, you know, I've said it before on this podcast a million times. I'm not a big fan of just throwing pills at a situation.
Yeah.
Or troubleshooting by, here, take this pill to deal with this side effect. If we can try something new that's made from less harmful substances that are proven to be harmful, that for some reason we're putting in these pills for people to take, and we talk about the stress of vaccines and the great information that's coming out about new technology with stem cells, with even monitoring our hormones. It used to be frowned upon to put these things in our body, but now we're taking our health seriously into our hands.
But I think it's really important. Two things on that note is first of all, if something is not in a liquid form, guys, it is not nanotechnology. This is 2024. So before you go buy your vitamins and stuff like this, like I don't take a multivitamin. This is my multivitamin. This is my all-day multivitamin. So you want to be taking nanotechnology. If it's in a powder form, it's not going into your cells. It's definitely not going down into the 2,000 mitochondria. This actually gets down into the what do you call it? The endocannabinoid receptors, which are inside the mitochondria. So think how small that is right there, you know? And that's been also just on the note of like I've done supplement with testosterone injections, human growth hormone. I spent like $30,000 on HGH in 3 years. You know, it's like $1,000 a month for these silly injections, right? Whatever, telomere sciences, all these other things, glutathione supplementation, all this stuff like this. But the thing about it is you want it. Like I don't take testosterone therapy right now because I'm supercharging my body. So because you gotta get down to the core is what I'm encouraging you to do is really get down to the core of it first of all, because even from a cost standpoint, like I don't need to do monitoring of blood tests and stuff like this on this, you know, I don't need to take an estrogen blocker and cycle on and off and all this nonsense. Right. You know, so that's this stuff I would encourage everyone that's even on testosterone to explore first before they even do that.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's super exciting.
Awesome. And it's if not cheaper than testosterone, you know?
I would say it probably is. I've checked it out and it definitely is. Well, I appreciate you inviting me in your home, my brother.
Yeah, thank you
for the time and information. I actually look forward to reconnecting with you in the future and follow you as this journey goes, because this is got to be one of the most interesting things I've ever came across in my life.
Well, and I think it's interesting because I've reached out. I would love to do a podcast with you and, University of Washington. I'm working with them. And also, some of these dementia organizations, like they're not even studying the mitochondria, and they're like, and it's like, hello, but a lot of the main ones in the United States and stuff like that, I'm not going to mention names, but because I'm on good terms with them right now, because I'm actually bringing this technology to them. So they're discovering, I'm showing them all the articles out there regarding frontal temporal lobe dementia. And I'm like, well, what are you guys recommending? And they don't have any recommendations. It's like, you can bring awareness to something, but you better freaking have an answer,
Absolutely. And you're also attacking the root of the problem instead of the actual result of it.
Well, again, and we're not saying that this cures or whatever. I'm just saying that there needs to be some immediate research, and the research is coming out there right now. So, yes, thank you for that.
That's very exciting, man. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody, for tapping in, and thank you for all of my listeners. As always, every single message you send, talking about each topic, please. I recommend you reach out to Ryan yourself. Ask him about this information. Try it for yourself.
You can hit me up on Instagram. Is that okay?
Yeah.
At Superhuman Rise. That's Superhuman RYZE. My nickname Rise. And you can also you can go ahead and hit me up there, and I'll definitely make sure that they use your link to go ahead and if they want to purchase a 30-day money back guarantee. There's zero risk because of that. I recommend that people do it like for $235 to get like a 2-month supply.
Yeah, check it out.
Which is you get the skincare, which is phenomenal. Fat, weight loss, it goes through the skull into the brain to activate the neurons. As crazy as that sounds, it's amazing. And then also the liquid that you put underneath your tongue. So very simple, not to make a sales pitch, but we want it to help improve lives and see what happens for you. So.
Excellent,
awesome,
brother. Well,
sounds good, man.
Much love, man. Well, I appreciate it.
Let's do some jiu-jitsu now.
Yeah, let's figure it out.
Okay, guys. Thank you. See you. Go like that, and then like